Okay, so let us start the topic valuation of goods. In the last lecture, what we have learned, how to charge duties or what should be the value of duty, basic duties, additional duties, social welfare surcharge, etc. etc. So we can now easily compute the custom duty provided we are given the value on which the duties are to be charged. If I know the value of my imported good, I can easily compute custom duties. Now this topic is, how do I know the value of goods? Fortunately, in the last example, the question itself said that 2 lakh was the value of goods. But in real life, you have to compute the value. So we have a new topic now, valuation of goods. And most probably there are high chances that you will be having a numerical from this topic, valuation of goods. Now, custom duties are imposed under which section? Custom duties are imposed under which section? Section 12 of the Custom Act. Valuation of goods is done as per section 14 of the Custom Act. That's it. So these two are main section. Custom duty section 12. Value on which custom duty will be charged? Section 14. And let me share this image file with you, because if you have understood the basic structure, if you understand the basic structure, then you can attempt anything. Let me share a small image file. Can you see this file? Hurry up, kindly reply. Can you see this file? What you can see then? What you can see? Can you tell me what you can see? Can you see this file? Hurry up, can you see this file? Hurry up, kindly reply. Can you see this file? Now can you see this file? Okay, let us discuss. Without wasting the time, let us discuss. Valuation of goods. Now, valuation of goods is covered under section 14. Valuation of goods is covered under section 14 of the Customs Act. Now, there are two types of valuations. Either I will import the goods or I will export the goods. And whenever you read custom duty, always remember that it is only on goods, not on services. In custom duty is only on goods. For the time being, we don't have any custom duty on services, only on goods. Now, as far as valuation of goods is concerned, it can be imported goods or it can be export goods, and we have separate rules. For imported goods, we have separate rule of valuation. For export goods, we have separate rule. In our course, valuation of export goods is not covered. We are not supposed to discuss valuation of export goods, but we have to cover value of imported goods. So let me share the word file from my book, Valuation of Goods, section 14. So let me share this file with you. Can you see the screen? Valuation of goods. Can you see valuation of goods file? Hurry up. Can you see valuation of goods file? Is the heading valuation of goods visible? Hurry up, tell me so that I can start speaking. Is it visible or not? अरे क्या वो कोई है या नहीं है? दिख रही है फाइल, नहीं दिख रही है? बताइए.
No, sir, the file is not visible yet.
Now is it visible or not? Hurry up.
Yes, sir.
Okay, hurry up. Now see valuation of goods. Section 14 of the Custom Act talks about valuation of goods. That's it. So in this section 14, you have two subsections, 14.1 and 14.2. 14.1 is the main section of 14. 14.1 is the main section which deals with valuation. And if you remember the custom duties, what was written in case of every duty? The value computed as per section 14.1 or as per section 14.2, whatever is the case. So what 14.1 says, that transaction value, that's it. In the example where 2 lakh was the value given, that 2 lakh is nothing but transaction value. So section 14 subsection 1 says that the value of the goods is nothing but transaction value. And you have to take transaction value only and only when you satisfy some conditions. Okay, so what is this transaction value? Now, one thing is clear, that value of goods is computed as per section 14 of the Custom Act. In this section 14, you can be having imported goods or you can be having exported goods. Section 14 subsection 1 is same whether you import or export. 14.1 says that transaction value is the value of goods. The next question arises, what do you mean by this transaction value? It is the price actually paid or payable for the goods. So as an importer, what price I will pay when I import something? Suppose I am purchasing something from France, what price I will pay? That price is the transaction value. That is the value on which custom duty will be charged. But what price I pay, I have to take that price only and only when I satisfy some conditions. First, see only this. The goods are sold for export to India for delivery at the time and place of importation. This is first thing. That goods are imported by someone. That means exported by some another person. Buyer and seller are not related parties, because if these are related, then I can manipulate the prices. So buyer and seller must be unrelated. Between them only price is the consideration and no kind. That's it. So these are theory conditions which you are not supposed to learn. You must simply remember that. Transaction value, that means price which I pay when I import something, is the value of the imported goods. But this transaction value requires some calculations, and this is important. Before this transaction value calculation, because when you import something, you will not import in rupee, you will import in that foreign currency, dollar, pound, Japanese yen, Chinese currency, but it will not be rupee. But in India, you have to pay custom duty in rupee. So you have to convert that foreign currency into Indian currency. So the question arises, at what rate? So what rate of exchange you will convert? It is that which is determined by the Central Board of Indirect Tax and Custom, or the board will tell at what rate you have to convert that foreign currency into Indian currency. This you must simply remember. When you compute the value, then at what rate the foreign currency will be converted into Indian currency. That rate is known as rate of exchange. Now that rate of exchange can be given by 100 of parties. SBI is having own, State Bank of India is having own rate of exchange. Some currency exchanging companies having own rate of exchange. Some banks are having own rate of exchange. RBI will be having own rate of exchange, because everyone will say that this is our rate of exchange. If you want to convert, this is our fees. So for our custom duty purpose, whatever is the rate fixed by the board, Central Board of Indirect Tax and Custom, that is fine. Now, my concept is on what? Section 14, subsection 1. 14, subsection 1 says transaction value. And how do you compute transaction value? So we have rules, just like under Income Tax Act, we have income tax rules also. If you remember Income Tax Act, perquisites in salary. How do you value the perquisites? It is not written in the Income Tax Act. It is written in Income Tax Rules, Rule 3. Same is the case here. How do you compute? Transaction value is the value on which custom duty will be charged. It is written in the Act. But how do you compute that transaction value? It is not written in the Act. It is written in the rules, which are custom rules for the purpose of computing value of imported goods 2007. That's it. Now see this transaction value. So I'm simply telling you the computation of transaction value. That is only in our course. So what you must remember, that's it. So you simply remember this point. The value of this highlighted point, the value of imported goods shall be the transaction value adjusted in accordance with provisions of Rule 10. That's it. Ignore everything and you simply remember this line. That what is the value of imported goods as per section 14(1). It is that value which is known as transaction value. What is this transaction value? With the price which I have paid when I imported the goods, plus I need to adjust this price in accordance with the provisions of Rule 10. That's it. Is section 14 clear? Section 14 of Custom Act talks about value. 14(1) talks about transaction value. That transaction value is the value on which you have to pay custom duties. Now, when you read transaction value, you get to know one answer, that transaction value has to be adjusted as per Rule 10. Shall I proceed? Is the concept clear? Shall I proceed? Is the concept clear? Now you have to learn this Rule 10. On this Rule 10, there can be a question in the exam. What it says now? Rule 10 is now Rule 10 of what? Rule 10 of what? Custom valuation rules. which are for determination of value of imported goods, 2007. These are custom valuation rules for the purpose of determining value of imported goods, 2007. Rule 10 is what? Now you read. While determining the transaction value under section 14.1, the following values have to be added to the price actually paid or payable. Transaction value is very simple. Price paid or payable. But adjust this price paid or payable with these values of rule 10. Heading of rule 10 is, apart from price paid, there will be some other cost and services also. So you have to add all these. Commission and brokerages, etc., etc. You have to read it. You have to read rule 10 carefully. I will send the file on WhatsApp so that you can share it with others. So you have to add these in transaction value. So there is first heading. You have to read this first heading yourself. I'm not expecting anything to be asked from first heading of rule 10 because it is little bit difficult. And normally in our Becommons level book, I don't think these points are given. If these are given, there will be maximum 1 or 2 points. So I'm not reading for the time being rule 10 heading 1. All the costs which are written in heading 1 of rule 10, these are to be added in the transaction value. I'm not reading those in detail. Some examples are commission and brokerage, royalties and license fees. I'm not making you understand this first heading of rule 10. I am coming to the second heading, which is relevant. Apart from first heading of rule 10, which will be added in computing the transaction value, you have to add second heading also, and this is main heading. In this second heading, what is my first part? Transport cost, loading cost, unloading cost, handling charges. When I import something from France, at Indian port also, when the ship will land at Indian airport, will dock at Indian airport, as an importer, the price which I have paid to the person who was in France, apart from that, I have to pay what? Loading, unloading charges, handling charges, transport charges. That cost also needs to be added, and then custom duty will be computed. This is main thing. Is this point clear? Is the concept clear? Section 14 is of the Custom Act is the section which tells me the value. That 14 section is having two subsections, 14.1, 14.2. 14.2, ignore it. 14.1 is the main section. It says transaction value is the value on which custom duty will be charged. The question arises, what is this transaction value? It is the price paid or payable for the goods. Then the same section 14 subsection 1 says that, okay, in this transaction value, you have to add those values also which are written in rule 10. Now when I read rule 10, I am skipping heading 1 of the rule 10 for the time being. I am directly coming to heading 2 of rule 10. And my heading of rule 10, first point says transport, loading, unloading and handling charges. Add this charge. Is this point clear? Arya, kindly reply, is this point clear? Okay, but this is not so easy. Computing, handling, transport, loading, unloading is not easy. That is why you have 3 points to remember. These are 3 points. First, where such cost is not ascertainable. Suppose loading, unloading, handling charges are not given to me, but in reality there will be surcharge. You cannot load or unload the goods on your own without spending anything. When your goods are docked, when the ship is docked at any Indian port, you have to pay some charge for loading and unloading. So suppose in the question it is not given, then this cost will be flat. How much? 20% of the free on board value. Free on board means the value of those goods when these were loaded in France on the ship. It is free on board the conveyance. On board means what? When I imported some goods from France, suppose at that time I paid 2 crore rupees. So that 2 crore is the cost of those goods not at Indian port, but that 2 crore is the cost of those goods when the ship was in France and the goods are on the ship, not outside the ship. Because after, if the goods are outside the ship, some loading charges in France are also required to be paid. So what is free on board value? When the goods were loaded on the ship in France, from where you are importing the goods, at that time, what is the value of the goods? That is known as free on board. Because when the goods will reach to India, there will be some additional cost of transporting, ship cost, insurance cost, so many other costs are there. Is free on board clear? Value of goods when these were in that country from where you are importing the goods, but the goods are on the ship. This is known as free on board value. Shall I proceed? Hurry up. Shall I proceed? Okay, so if you don't know this handling, transporting, etc. cost, it is flat 20% free on board value. Second point to remember. Now, goods are not always imported by ship or by oceans, by water. We have air mode of transport also. Suppose goods are imported by air. If goods are imported by air and the cost of handling is clearly given to you, make sure that it cannot exceed 20% of free on board value. If goods are imported by air and you have the transportation cost available, handling cost available, your actual cost cannot exceed 20% of free on board value. Point clear? Now, by default, you must remember that if goods are imported by ship, then there is no restriction of 20%. Clear? If goods are imported by air, only then the question says, rule says that your transporting handling cost cannot exceed 20% of free on board value. Now, suppose my free on board value is 10 lakh rupees. What is my first point? My free on board value is 10 lakh rupees. At France, goods have come to India. Goods will be loaded and unloaded in India also. What will be the loading, unloading, handling charge? Since I don't have any value available, question says, rule says 20% of free on board. So the value will be 2 lakh rupees by default. Goods are imported from France to India. Free on board value was 10 lakh and handling cost is 5 lakh rupees. Question says handling cost is 5 lakh rupees. Goods are imported by ship. What will be the handling cost as per the rules? Will it be 5 lakh or will it be 2 lakh? Tell me the answer. Free on board value 10 lakh. Goods imported by ship. Actual transporting handling cost is 5 lakh rupees. For the purpose of custom duty, will it be 2 lakh rupees or 5 lakh rupees? Tell me the answer. Goods are imported by ship. Free on board value 10 lakh. Actual handling cost 5 lakh. Will it be 2 lakh rupees or 5 lakh for our custom duty? Hurry up. Will it be 2 lakh or 5 lakh? Answer is 5 lakh rupees. Because if you import the goods by air, only then you have to make sure that the transportation cost does not exceed 20% of free on board. If you are importing by non-air mode, then it is actual. It may be, if the goods free on board value is 10 lakh, it may be even more than 10 lakh, doesn't matter. Government says no problem. Point clear? You have to add actual cost of transport. Only in some cases you cannot add actual cost. What are those cases when you do not know the actual cost? Then take it 20%. If you are importing by air and your actual cost is higher than 20%, government says 20% maximum. Now suppose you don't know even free on board value. Suppose you don't know even free on board value, then what? Then government says no issue. If you do not know free on board value, but you know the total of two things, free on board plus insurance cost. only free on board value is not available. But as an importer, you know that free on board value plus insurance cost, because when you import the goods, always all the goods in water transport through oceans are by default imported, by default insured. Just like every car, every vehicle is insured. Same is the case here. Now you don't know free on board value, but you know free on board value plus insurance. You know that total. Then government says, then your actual cost will be treated as 20% of that total. If my free on board value plus insurance is 25 lakh, I don't know simple, I don't know only free on board. I know free on board plus insurance 25 lakh. What will be my handling cost then? 20% of 25 lakh, 5 lakh. These 3 points you have to remember when you add in transaction value, handling, loading and unloading charge. Next point, in the same heading 2 of rule 10, my next cost is insurance. Now government says you have to add in your free on board value, handling charges, loading, unloading plus insurance charges also. Same here. Suppose you don't know the insurance cost. Government says no issue. It will be 1.125% of free on board value. You can easily learn it yourself. 1.125% of free on board value. Suppose you don't know even free on board value, but you know the total of two. Total of two what? Free on board plus handling and loading charges. If you know that total, then your insurance cost will be again 1.125% of not free on board, but total of free on board plus transport and handling charges. You may not learn this without discussing an example, but you have to know that this is important point. These are important points. These can come in your examination. Let me discuss 2019 examination question with you, and I'm sure you can easily attempt that question. So let me share that file of 2019 exam. By the way, you should take the photo of this. Kindly take the photo of this page. It will be required. Kindly take the photo of this page. After taking the photo of this page, you please send a message that you have taken it. Then I will share another screen with you. I will share to, let me discuss. This is the last question, 2019. Hurry up. Kindly take the photo and get back to me. Kindly take the photo of this page. Okay, great. So shall I proceed? Others who have not replied, shall I proceed? I hope you have taken the photo of this. Okay. That's it. I will show you one question and then our topic valuation of goods is over. So let me share another screen with you. Can you see this file? This is your 2019 exam question. Can you see this file? Hurry up, kindly reply. The meeting is going to be over in 5 minutes by default. Kindly reply, can you see this file? I cannot read your chat. You can unmute and tell me. Can you read? Can you see this file?
No, sir.
No one can see this file. Is there anyone who can see this PDF file? Okay, what you can see on your screen? Tell me.
So the other question papers and solution 2018 and 19.
So it will come. I think the system is slow. It will open by default then. So wait for 10 seconds. It will open. The moment it comes, you please tell me. Has it come? Has the file come?
No, sir.
Okay, so I'm ending this meeting and let me back within 2 to 3 minutes. I think within 25 minutes further, we will bind up our entire custom and entire discussion. Okay, the meeting is going to go over very soon by default. So let me back within 2 minutes.